All right, welcome everybody. Thank you all for coming this afternoon to our program, Paranormal Investigations. My name is Ryan Hellenbrand. I am a librarian here at Glenview. I host a variety of programs. One thing I'll note is on the left side of the room, your right side of the room, we did a little artwork this morning. That's going to be part of our community art project going up later in October, all the way through January. So we had some artists come in, local artists, to do a little bit of that. Me as well. I also did a little bit in there, try and spot it. So that'll be going up in the art display later on in October. But for tonight, our program is first in a series of programs to get you into the October Halloween kind of feel. So we have two more programs I want to highlight. On Saturday, October 5th at 2 p.m., we're having Journey Through Tarot. There's still a few spots available in that program. You'll learn about tarot cards, the kind of history and the meaning behind it, and you'll be able to design your own tarot card as well. And then October 17th, Thursday at 7 o'clock, right here in the community room, it'll be Haunted Chicago. Having somebody come in from the Rockford area to talk about the different stories going on in Chicago and Northern Illinois. So strange tales, bizarre crimes, and hidden haunted history. Again, October 17th, right here in the community room. But for tonight, we are joined by the West Suburban Paranormal Investigations team. That's the first all-female led team out of Aurora. They've investigated nearly 100 cases in the area using both modern technology and traditional methods. They bring a wealth of knowledge tempered with healthy skepticism, and they have plenty of stories and evidence to share from past years. So we are joined by Audra, Nancy, Vince. Nope. Marvin. Sorry, I almost had it. Marvin. Back we have Lisy, and then we have Rich in the back as well. So please welcome them to our program today.
Good afternoon. My name is Audra Weizeorick, and I am one of the co-founders of West Suburban Paranormal Investigations. I'm going to try. My voice doesn't carry, so I'm going to talk as loud as I can. If you can't hear me, just make noise, and I'll try and talk a little bit louder. I've always been interested in everything that has to do with the paranormal, especially around Chicagoland. I probably have 40 to 50 different books from different authors around here that talk about the paranormal. I've always was that kid who, if the phone rang, I always knew who it was before it was answered. And I've always been able to see my pets after they pass away. And since we started the team, that's just gotten accentuated. It's more things are happening, more things you just can't explain. So I'm on my own journey, and with this team, we are going to be celebrating our 7th year anniversary next week. I think it's called a golden anniversary. October 7th is our 7th year. And today is also National Paranormal Day. So
Ghost Hunter.
Happy National Paranormal Ghost Hunting Day. Thank you, Richard.
Good. My name is Nancy. Yes. I've been on the team with Audra for the 7 years. She and I both actually met on a previous team and just kind of broke off from there and started our own thing. It was the best thing I've ever done. It's the best hobby I've ever done. It cost me more money than any other hobby I do. It's definitely more than crocheting, which I love to do too. But
she makes the cutest little crochet ghosts. Oh my gosh.
Unlike Audra, I don't have any special abilities, but I do feel the longer I've been on the team, the more open-minded I am, the more I'm able to see things or feel things when we go into certain locations. I've always been a lover of horror movies and being scared, so I guess that's kind of part of it. But what's more gratifying is the fact that we can put people's minds at ease from their homes. A lot of people worry, like, what's going on at my house? All my friends think I'm crazy, you know, whatever. We get to go there and actually say, yes, you do have a presence here, or no, you know, it's just your electrical, or whatever the situation is. That is more gratifying than being scared to death over it. But from there, I'll pass it on to Lisy.
I'm Lisy Muller, and I've been with the team about 4 years. I met these ladies. They actually did an investigation at our home, and so that's how I met them. And my husband started with them and then brought me on later. I'm more of an empath or sensitive. I can walk into a place and I feel the emotions of past people. I'm very much into crystals and pendulums, learning tarot at the moment, or trying to anyway. But I really enjoy our field trips and just the different experiences that we have during each separate investigation. I really do enjoy going out there and just having fun and being scared. And I'll pass it on over to Marvin.
Hello, my name is Marvin Muller, and I'm the techie of the group. I like to fiddle around with all the programs and try to see if I could get all the sound quality a little bit better. Also create the videos for our team. Let's see. I started with the group like 5 years ago, just because we had some stuff happening at our house. I had these ladies come over and they did an investigation. I have video proof of stuff that happened. And then after like a couple of weeks later, I went to a, what was it? It was some sort of paranormal convention.
Yeah.
And I saw the ladies there. I'm like, hey, they're looking for a techie. I'm like, hey, I could do it. I could do it.
That's right.
And that's how I kind of got into the group with them. But yeah, I'd like to create a lot of stuff like programs. I'm an IT guy, so
Little car in the front right there.
yeah. So I have that little car connected with my cameras and stuff. So I just drive it around from wherever I'm at. So we can capture everything.
We have Richard over here on the other side.
Yeah, hi, my name's Richard Weizeorick. I am Audra's husband. So that's how I got dragged into it. I mean, got into it. I didn't like that nobody was debunking our stuff. Nobody was going through it and saying, hey, this might not be. So I took on the role of being a debunker. I wanted to, and I know that they do debunking while they're doing their investigations, but I try and dive in deeper and see if I can figure out where or what something is doing. Where is it really coming from? Is it paranormal or not? And that's what I do.
So we have a few more people on the team right now, but they weren't able to join us today. So this is kind of like our full crew right now.
We'll get to these clips in a little bit, but these are what we call our field trips, and we'll explain that in a little bit. This actually is in Iowa, Villisca, Iowa. This one is in Indiana. So you've got different kinds of paranormal teams. Some do what we call field trips, which is where you pay to go on a tour. And if you're lucky, you're able to, you might have enough money where you can rent the whole place out for the night for just our team, which we do quite often. About twice a year, we try and do these sort of things. We go in there and we try and see if we can find haunted things. And we've got some stories to come up with that. The other part that we work on is we have people who contact us. They have a home or a business. They've got something going on that they can't explain. So you'll be able to catch us on Facebook along with the phone number and the brochures, and our business cards have got both of those links. So you called your exterminator, they came out and there's no animals anywhere and the walls are underneath. You called your plumber, pipes are fine. You call the electrician, no problem with the wires. But you're still hearing footsteps on your stairs. You're still hearing whispering. So what do? You call us. We're going to come out. We're going to have a phone conversation with you where we're going to find out a little bit about your house, what kind of things are going on. We're going to reassure you that you're not crazy. And we're also going to reassure you that we don't show up in the ghost mobile with the red light. I mean, I guess we're like the orchid. People don't want to know that the orchid man's coming to your house. You don't want your neighbors knowing that orchid man's coming. So we have regular cars. We have little decals in the back. You're going to give us a call. We're going to have a phone conversation with you, and then we'll schedule a time to come out. Depending on how big your house is, will depend on how big the team is. This is all of our equipment, and we'll show you a couple of pieces as we go along. But afterwards, please feel free to come up and look at it and ask questions. And it's just like the ghost hunting teams you see on TV with all of the equipment that they set up. We don't spend 8 hours. We might do 3 or 4 if things are really happening. And then we'll go home. We review the audio evidence, review our video evidence. We'll give you a call and say, we found some stuff. And we'll write up a report, put our evidence on a flash drive and come back out and show it to you. Or we may not find anything. And at that point, you can sit there and say, well, come back out again, or okay, let's just see what happens. And then we go from there.
I just want to add one thing. We are a nonprofit organization. Therefore, we don't get paid to come out to people's homes or businesses and do what we do. We do it because it's something that we love to do.
We also offer a couple of different cleansings. One is a sage cleansing with the sage that you light with a match, and you've got the feather to kind of waft it around the doors and windows. We also have a Christian blessing with holy water. There's also another one that you can do over the top of doors. It's a chalk blessing. And we do that, we offer that as well. So even if we don't find anything, but you're still uncomfortable, we'll still come out and do the blessing for you if you want us to. So this is just a general thing. Please hold all your questions until the end. Chances are we might actually answer the question for you. Otherwise, we've done it where we've had questions while we're doing this, and this thing lasts 2.5 hours. Nobody wants that. I don't want to hear myself talk that long. There are applications on the back. We're always looking for people. So if you're interested, please see Richard. He's in the back of the room. And what you're going to expect, we're going to show you audio. No, we're going to have you listen to audio. And we also have a couple of videos for you to look at. This is all evidence that we've captured in the last 7 years. Nothing is faked because Nancy and I are not technology oriented and we wouldn't know how to. So everything that happened is real. So keep in mind, you hear the audio, some of it's funny, some of it's weird. But when you think back, we did not hear any of this when we were in the room. This is all stuff we collected at the end.
So what she means by at the end, if we go and do an investigation at your home, we may be there for 3 hours and we have all of our little gadgets, we box it up and we go back. But we're probably going to sit there for anywhere from 6 to 10 hours, listening to the audio, watching the videos, and going over all the data that we got from your home or your business. And that's where the most time consuming is. You're sitting there for 6 hours listening to this audio over and over, and then you capture that one little voice clip. It's well worth the whole thing. So it seems like we have a lot of little clips for you, but these were taken from over 100 investigations. Not every investigation you're going to capture something.
This first place to talk about is Waverly Hills Sanatorium. It was a tuberculosis sanatorium in Louisville, Kentucky. During the height of tuberculosis, if you were diagnosed with tuberculosis, you had 1 day to show up at their doors. If you didn't, they came to get you. The picture on the left is just showing you how gigantic the place is. It's 5 levels, and most of it's got an open air outside of the patient's rooms. They didn't know how to treat tuberculosis, so they tried anything they could, and they thought fresh air was the best answer. On the right is a picture of one of the rooms where one of the nurses hung herself. She was pregnant, she was not married, and she found out that she had developed tuberculosis. So right outside this window, she hung herself. The reason we're going to show you this is this next grouping of pictures. Nancy took the one on the left.
So just to talk about photos for a second, and you guys can do this as well if you're at your home or you're like at an investigation or something or a known haunted location. You can use the camera on your phone, take like 3 pictures in the same spot. So if I was taking it here, I would go like click, click, click really quick in each section. The reason you do this is because you can capture things from one moment to the next. That, I mean, and I've captured a lot of things this way, as you'll see in some of the other pictures, but that's exactly what happened on the left photo. The girl that's sitting down on the floor, she was using, I want to say a spirit box. I'm not 100% sure what she was using, but I know it was a piece of our equipment, and I was doing a video of her. And I noticed with my own sight, and it wasn't just on video, something moving across the room. And when I looked up, luckily I was able to capture it before it lit through the door. But you see the big white circle. I honestly believe this is an orb. We don't believe in a lot of orbs. Most of them are dust particles or little bugs that are going in front of the screen. But this one I actually saw with my naked eye. So it was such a thrill to actually capture it.
The picture that we have then on the right is going to be the picture of the patient's rooms. On one side of the hallway, you had a room that would house 2 beds. And you were lucky if you were in that room, you were meant to survive. If you were transferred across the hallway, where you were allowed 1 bed in the room, things were not going to go very well, and you were expected to pass away. The thing that Waverly is most known for is called the body chute. The administrators didn't want the patients knowing exactly how many people were dying, and there was at one point a death every hour. And so they had this little area right across from the morgue, and it was the length of 1 1/3 football fields, and it went an entire floor underneath. And that's where the nurse would walk the body down. And at the end would be a train car. If you were poor or you didn't have families, you would end up in the train car, and they would take you to another location and bury you in an unmarked grave. Or there would be a hearse there if you had family who was able to afford it for you. There we go. This is a home that we did in Waterman, Illinois. It's a very old home. We were down in the basement and we were able to find a brick that had 1790 something on it. It used to be a doctor's office, and the previous owners actually found a business card in there from the doctor. And the phone number was something like PH1. I mean, it's a really cool house. I want to show you what our echo box looks like. This is one of our tools that we use. It's somewhat like a spirit box. It's got 6 different channels, and it rotates in this channel, and it flips out syllables at the same time, creating a white noise. And it's believed that spirits can then pick and choose these syllables to make words. Let me go ahead. This is kind of what it sounds like.
So it sounds really garbled, but every once in a while, a solid word will pop out. And then we want to compare, like if we hear a name, we always make sure a client is with us, the one who hired us or asked us to come to their location. Is that name familiar? It could be something that is familiar to Audra or I or one of the other team members. But that's the whole purpose of that piece of equipment, is to capture different wording.
This first clip is one of Nancy's favorites.
Okay, so this is the house in Waterman, like she said. We were sitting on the floor around the coffee table in the living room, and everybody has a recorder. This is like the best piece of equipment any investigator can use, and it's like 40 bucks on Amazon. It's the best. It's just a little tiny recorder. We require every team member to have that. So we're sitting around, everybody has a recorder on the table, and we have the echo box in the center of the table, and we're asking for someone to come through and talk with us. Well, it was known to us that a little boy had passed away at this house, like back in the early 1900s. And the homeowner believed that that could have been one of the people that is haunting this house. So we were reaching out to this little guy named Richie. And what I captured only on my audio recorder, and you know, a coffee table's not that big. If we all have our audio recorders there, everybody should have caught it. But mine was the only one, so I felt really blessed. It was kind of cool. I felt special for the day. But what I captured was his actual voice coming through, not through the echo box. So what you're going to hear is a lot of garbled noise from the echo box, but then you're going to hear a little boy talk. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Add them all out too, or just leave on? So do you hear that little voice? And it was so plain. Okay, so when we're doing the echo box and anything you're doing to try to communicate with the other side, you're actually opening up a portal. And this portal is allowing people to come through and talk to you if they're in the vicinity. We believe that if you listen to the end of it, it almost like he's sticking his tongue out like, this is for me, right? So we kind of feel like other people were trying to come through that too. And he was like, no, they're calling my name. This is for me. So how awesome is it that we actually caught his voice and without even going through a piece of equipment? That is so rare. You want to try it one more time?
And there were no children with us.
No kids at all
We
in the
were,
house.
we were all adults.
It still gives me chills to this day, knowing that he was that close to me at this house. So the next clip that we have, a few of us had went out in the backyard. The neighbor behind this house that we were at had killed himself the year before and committed suicide in the garage. So the guy who had us come to his house, he's like, well, you never know, you might find something outside. So we're in the backyard and my flashlight started doing this flashing. I didn't know that most flashlights have SOS ability. So I was like, oh my God, look at my flashlight. So, you know, the guy that was with me, he's looking at it going, oh, well, let me see. So you're going to hear us talking about this flashlight and then you're going to hear these loud bang noise. We call it a gunshot. It could have been a gunshot. It could have been like something pounding on the side of something metal, but it's really loud. We did not hear that in person because we're continuously talking about how my flashlight is doing that. It's a SOS thing.
That's kind of what it was doing.
Right. So had we heard this loud noise, we probably would have dropped to the ground. You want to play it?
There are going to be 3 in a row.
See?
Let me see, put it back to me. Put it back to me.
So did you hear that like bang, bang, bang noise?
Just let me.
I mean, yeah, they just continue
Go
to
back a
keep
little
talking.
bit further than what you did. See?
Let me see, put it back to me. Put it back to me.
Do you hear that noise? We have no
Just
idea
let me
what it
record
was,
it for a while.
who made it,
I got a
but
buddy
it
that
was
knows
not
Morse code, and
there
that could be some
physically
Morse
because we
code
did
going
not
on there.
in person, only captured it on our audio.
And they just continued talking normally, like nothing was going on.
Exactly.
This next one is just an odd noise. And it just, we're not sure, it might be a name. It could be something like Evie, but we're just going to play it for you. Let you make your own decision then.
Try to talk to you.
Breath that we heard.
Did you hear the little whisper? And it could be, like she said, it could have been a little girl's name, Evie. It sounds more like a H in front of it, almost like he's breathing it out. But it was a really cool catch.
Just do it one more time.
So when you're sitting there for 6 hours listening to nothing and you get something like that, it is so worth that 6 hours. Even though we have no idea what that word is, we know it was not one of us.
Try to talk to you.
Okay, so this is the same house. Again, this is where I was talking to you about taking the multiple pictures at the same location. This is about 2 o'clock in the morning and we're sitting around the kitchen table having some coffee, talking about our evening and the things that we have done there at their house. And so I just started taking some photos around the room. And what I actually captured, and let me rewind just a little bit. One of the things that the client had said is they feel like randomly they will see a shadow cross in front of the kitchen sink. She said it looks like a farmer or somebody who was on the railroad. It's a bigger guy with like some overalls, and then she would see it, but when she'd look, he would not be there. So when I took the photos, I actually captured a little piece of this shadow person. Had I known he was there, I would have continued to take photos. I wish I did, but all I captured was an arm, and you can see how in my first picture, it's barely there. These pictures were taken 1 second. The second picture, you have more of an arm. When I blew up the second picture on this one, you can see that there is movement. There's like a swish look to it. Like you can see that the arm was moving. And then I probably just went on and started taking pictures elsewhere in the room. Had I known, like I said, I probably could have captured a full shadow person there.
We have a little bit of swag to give out. So the first person to raise their hand will call on you. And does anyone know the difference between a ghost hunter and a paranormal investigator? There is a difference, but one is not better than the other.
Anybody take a guess?
I'll take a guess.
Okay,
All right, so if my ghost hunter has to go specifically to eradicate them from the residence, maybe, and the paranormal investigator just does investigations of anything paranormal, not necessarily ghost related.
good
That's a
guess.
good
You can go ahead and, good guess, but not quite.
But that's a really good one. I don't
It is
think
a
we've heard that
definitely
one
a good
before.
one. A ghost hunter is gonna go someplace that's known to be haunted, like we said, we go on our field trips, we go to these, like Waverly Hill Sanitarium in Kentucky. It's known to be haunted, so we're just a ghost hunter going to see what we can capture. When we go to a client's home, we're more of a paranormal investigator because we are investigating to see if there's actually something there.
You got a blue one in there?
Very similar to each other, but there is a slight difference.
This is a house in Naperville, husband and wife. The husband wanted nothing to do with this. He wouldn't even stay on the same floor with us. If we were down in the living room, he was up in the bedroom. And this is something, again, we were using the Echo Box.
There's really nothing to explain, just play it.
I guess that's it. It's really quick. It's right away.
Is there something else you'd like to say?
I'm gonna wrap this
So
up.
I heard, apparently they think I talk too much because they're telling me to stop talking. The rarity of this one is normally from the Echo Box, we capture one word, right? This is a full sentence. This is the only time we've ever captured a full sentence. But it was pretty incredible. We had captured nothing all night long besides the photo on the right, besides that little clip.
I'll go ahead and do it one more time.
Is there something else you'd like to say?
I'm gonna wrap this
I
up.
heard, the
So that
homeowner
was-
was so excited because I heard stop talking, please.
It didn't make me stop talking. I think I talked more. So this is another picture that I took at this house. So to give you just a visual of it, it was kind of like a glassed-in porch area. They had a dining room table in there. And I was taking a picture out the back window to the backyard, which was covered in snow. What my photo captured was a reflection behind me in the other glass wall behind me. What do you see within the blue circle? Just go ahead and shout it out. Okay, I see a dog as well. And when I inquired with the homeowner, the husband, his dog had passed away about 3 years prior, and it was a larger sized dog. But then we had, Richard had his 2 sons to put in on this one.
So when
we'll
I
let
went
him
in,
talk.
so when I went in and took pictures of it, I saw, well, I didn't see the dog because when I took pictures, the snow wasn't there. So I missed the socks, all that stuff is gone. All I got was
Okay,
that
well,
curve,
these look like those back legs, and then
Right.
right here was the head of the big guy.
but the head is actually a curved portion that actually, it came out off the dining room table and curled down to become a leg for the table. And with the extra reflections, you could almost get 2 legs there in the front. And then the back ones are defined by the socks. But that's all, what I got was reflections of the windows all over the place because they were all over. It was just windows all around.
So this is just a perfect example of, we gave the client both examples of it. I still feel like I captured a dog in my photos. He still feels like it was probably just the table. So
Yeah.
we tell the client exactly what we find. We're not gonna fudge anything, but I think he's wrong.
And I think it's pareidolia, which
You want to
is,
explain pareidolia?
you want me to explain? Okay, so pareidolia is the mind trying to make sense of something that doesn't make sense. So the mind is looking at something and it sees a shape. It's going to make you see the shape and it's going to translate it for you. Your mind will translate into things that you know.
Kind of like if you're looking at clouds and you see a little dog running or you know,
Right.
a picture of a rabbit up in the clouds, that's pareidolia. Your mind is constantly trying to make images and shapes out of things. And so that's why too, when you see people talk about orbs and, oh, I know it's an orb because I can see the face. There are 2 eyes and a smile. No, it's just your brain trying to make sense of something. This is a tattoo parlor that we've been to quite a few times when we were it's in Aurora. And the claim for this one, they've come to us and said that there's a little girl about 8 or 9. She runs around. She's got a black dress, black ribbon in her hair, black shoes. The owner has seen her, employees, even the customers have seen her. We've never seen her. Kind of harsh, because we were there once giving a reveal and we were this way and we were talking to the owner, and all of a sudden this customer goes, "Wait, are you talking about a little girl in a black dress?" He says, "Well, yeah." He goes, "Well, she just ran." We've got quite a few different sounds. This first one we're going to show you is up here in the top right. And the words are going to be "come to me." Original is, we're showing you exactly how we taped it. It's very, very
faint.
light.
Yes.
It's really hard to hear. The enhanced one below it, we take out our voices, but it leaves this weird scritchy scratch, but you can hear the "come to me."
So before you play it, Audra was sitting on the bottom of the staircase and her audio was like, and it was an old staircase, so it's not really that high, but her audio was right up there. So whoever put these words in her audio was probably looking down at her, wanting her to come upstairs. It was so creepy when we actually heard it.
So this first one's really light. If you don't hear it, not to worry. Do you hear it? It's so faint. So creepy. Very technical, just creep the heck out of me. So this next one is the enhanced version. You'll hear the "come to me" easier.
Did you hear it? It's so faint. Try the top one more time. I think it sounded better actually.
Yeah, I think that the original sounded better.
Is that creepy or what, right?
Yeah, the fact that it was a whisper, no. Okay, so we'll go down to the bottom. A little girl, and after we've done these presentations, someone finally came up and said, "You know what? It sounds just like the theme song from a show called Maverick," and I think it was 1959 to 1963 or something around there. And it's not us. I mean, we're not just doodling down the hall.
Okay, so that's, when we're playing a lot of this, you got to try to ignore what we're saying and listen to background. And that's exactly what that is. It's somebody humming in the background. And it was not one of us.
No. I've never even heard the song before, so I don't know.
1940s.
Was it in the 40s?
I think,
I
well, that's
thought
when
it was
it's, I
59
think it was,
because it was
19
James-
well, they have to be,
James
no, it have to be
Garner.
after that, 1950s, 60s, maybe.
Yeah, I think it was James Garner was in it. Okay,
So this clip is, it's much easier to hear. And again, it's just one of those weird ooh-yeah sounds.
Yeah, and then sweetgrass.
Well, there's air conditioning units back there, so maybe get a reading, so that would
So strange.
yeah, there would be
but
no reason for us to do that.
yeah, it definitely was not one of us making that sound. Have no idea.
We're gonna skip this one. It's way, way, way too quiet. It's not gonna be picked up very easily at all, but it's basically some creepy guy at the very end whispering, "I burned in grease."
You can try to play it, but I don't think they'll hear it.
All right, let me figure out what's it.
And we're not sure if it was like grease, like he's burned, like burned with grease, or was he burned in the country?
Okay.
It's way in the back.
Three o'clock?
Usually.
Oh, really?
I'll go one more time.
Definitely hear it.
3 o'clock. The grease comes out real easy. You can hear the S in it. But yeah. Wasn't one of us. At the time, I think there was only one other man with us. I think it was 3 women and a man.
Yeah.
This is a really cool video.
So this is at the tattoo shop as well. You can see like the display case that I'm working on. If you look on the left-hand side, you'll see that it's a mirrored case. You know how they do the mirror, so it makes it look like they have more in there. So we're gonna have you watch that area right there where the wheel is. And then you're also like a few seconds after you see something with that mirror, you're gonna hear a loud noise. What you're actually hearing is a box like this going from a couch that's probably here and ending up in the floor that's probably this far away. The video only was set up for here, so we're missing the whole other side of the room.
Right here is a set of leather couches that there were 2 of them that spanned the wall, and that's where we put all of our cases. And so that's where you're going to hear the commotion come from. But this right here is one of those like doctor's chairs. It's got the round stool on it without a back, and it's got the 3 wheels that you kind of spin around. And we'll go ahead and just keep an eye on that, and then about 10 seconds later, you'll hear the huge bang.
So yeah, we had no idea that the chair spun in the other room. We had no idea why the box flew off of the couch the way it did. And it wasn't just a tumbling off. It was still flat. It was on the couch flat. It was in the center of the floor flat. So it was a really, really cool catch. The chair spin was pretty awesome, right?
You see it again?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that, yep. Oops. Hang on. There we go.
Good.
So cool.
And if one of us was anywhere near there, you would have seen us walking around. I mean, I know that one investigator and I were 2 rooms that way, and our other investigator was 2 rooms that way.
Okay.
So our homeowner called us out on this one. She had been seeing this, she called it an imp. And it was about 3 feet tall, and it was just black, and it would just run. We weren't able to find him, but Nancy did find something interesting in the basement.
So even in dark rooms, I take photos. You never know what you're gonna capture in that room. This was one of my cool catches here. As we were leaving the basement, we're shutting off all the lights and going upstairs. I'm the last one and I'm taking my photos. So when I'm at home at like 3 in the morning, going through everything, I captured a little tiny white dot in a solid black room. And I'm like, there was no lights, there's no street light, there was nothing coming through. So upon playing with the picture, we blew it up to look like the one on the right. What do you see there? What does your mind see? A what? A hand, okay. Anybody else?
Forehead.
A forehead, a cap, a hat. It does look like a hat, doesn't it?
Looks like a Ku Klux Klan.
Maybe like the white.
Very nice.
A barrel, good idea. I never heard that one before. Did you have one, honey, in the back?
No, I've seen part
Oh, okay, so that's exactly what I saw. I saw a head with like an eye socket. You can kind of see an ear on the right. Maybe some hair or a ripped bandage or something that's wrapped around the head. When we showed the photo to the homeowner, she said that her grandpa had passed away about 6 months prior from a brain aneurysm, and she was wondering, could that have been him in her basement? We still don't know who was at her house, but all of those guesses are great because nobody knows exactly what it is. But I know it was not meant to be there. It should not have been in that photo. But it was a cool catch.
We were called into the museums at Lyle Place, and they have 5 buildings that they moved onto a certain location, and there's a bar and a tavern and a train car, the depot, and a barn, and something else, blacksmith area. And these were all old houses around the area of Lyle that meant something. And I grew up in Lyle. I remember being a young kid, and I remember seeing them coming down Ogden Avenue with these huge houses that they were moving down the street. So this is, the depot is where we caught most of our evidence, I would say. And there were a couple in some of the other places, but this one is pretty cool. So when you walk in, you're going to have the benches and they line the entire room. This is the area where the old train passengers would come and sit and wait for the train to come in. And so you can see that we've got all of our cases are opened up all the way around.
So you can see them on the benches.
You can also see our shoes. They're all very soft-soled shoes. We had an investigation once and I had a really cute pair of boots on. And the entire investigation was script because all you heard were the boots the whole night. So we all have soft-soled shoes, and it makes a difference, and we'll show you. This would be the area when you first, so if you first walk in, you've got the whole area where they would wait. Over here was a little galley where the conductor would do his business. Now, if you were to go straight back, you would go into the area where they would hold the luggage. And beyond that was a little house that was there for the conductor and his family. Our cases are actually, they're called Pelican cases, and they're gun cases. And they make a very distinctive noise when they're open. And Richard's got a demonstration right there of what the cases look like. And that's what they sound like. And they're plastic. So they're hard plastic, but sometimes they're not always level, and it's not always real easy to close them. You're going to hear us walk away, and I actually accidentally left my recorder, and that's how we caught this first piece of information. We actually all walked away. You hear someone come back with shoes that have a sole on them, and he's just going to town with the latches. Cease that, son. We'll go here. And this is us leaving. Footsteps.
How many cases do you think that they opened and closed in that little bit of time? I mean, it's not the easiest thing to do. So
I'm not even sure
that
we
had
had
to
that
been,
many cases.
it had to been 4 or 5 cases that they were just like doing it, or maybe the same one over and over. But it's not that easy to make sure that they're snapping well. So it was just pretty cool that somebody was actually in there playing with those cases that way.
And we came back out and they were still up as if nothing, yeah, they were still open as if nothing had happened. So
yeah, it was cool.
This next one's a little bit, you know, Richard and I have been married 34 years, so we have our own kind of, you know, so we're sniping at each other just a tad bit. And there's a woman who has just had enough of it. Could be.
The word paranormal never left my lips. I just said it. I can't explain it.
I dropped something plastic and she's just, ah. We had a woman in Wheaton call us in, it's an interesting house. She moved in 30 years ago with her husband and 2 young children. And a couple of weeks went by. She went out to the front yard and her neighbor was like, I have a picture of when the house was being built. Do you want to see it? She said, sure. She goes and she looks at the picture. Her dad is in the picture. He actually constructed the house and she had no idea. He had since passed away, but they would hear stuff in the basement, especially around the carpenter area where he had his little workshop the father used to. And they thought, well, okay, it's probably him messing around. So fast forward 30 years, the woman's husband dies in the house from hospice. He was in hospice, he had cancer. And now she's hearing more stuff. So who is in this house? We're not really sure. It's a 1-level house. And this is a video that Marvin set up. So we're gonna let him talk about it a little bit.
So I had to set up my tablet so I could get hotspot. And I hooked up this camera, something like this on there. And as I set it up, we were all downstairs, we all went downstairs and everything. And we're just,
Yes.
So laser grid, what you see is purple on there. We have one that's green. If you look at the ceiling, you can kind of see. So the purpose of a laser grid is if something walks in front of it, it makes a shadow. So you can see if I put my hand, you can see like there's movement.
right.
That's the purpose of the laser grid.
So we were all downstairs. I was videotaping and everything. There's nobody upstairs at all. And then my phone just like starts, hey, there's somebody upstairs, there's somebody upstairs. And this is what we got.
We knew everybody was downstairs with us and the cat, the camera was set up on the floor. So that's why the cat looks to be like 9 feet tall. You're gonna see his shadow. Now focus on the left side of the cat. There will be another shadow that moves past him right there and the cat goes freaking out. I'll go ahead and we'll do that one again. So there's the cat's shadow. Right there. And the
So
cat,
whatever the cat saw, it scared it because it took off down the hall. Can you do it one more time?
Yep,
Audra?
I was planning on it. I pushed on button. Right there.
So we were so excited. We're all in the basement doing whatever we were doing. And he's like, oh my gosh, look at this. Everybody runs upstairs. Of course, we can't find anything when we get, but it was definitely a cool catch.
Yes.
And this was one of our field trips that we did. And this is Villisca, Iowa. 8 people were murdered in a home in one evening with an axe. 7 were hit with the
One side.
the
flat
sharp
side.
side, the flat side. The other, the husband was killed with the sharp pointy side with the eyeball rolling down the hallway. Lisy's gonna talk a little bit about that.
It's called the Axe Murder House. And upon getting there, we all, set our stuff in one room. Then we all went into the house and just to kind of roam around, get a feel for the house as we got there. And myself and another one of our members, Cindy, she's not here today. We're both sensitives. And so upon entering the house, for me personally, you could feel just the heaviness in the house. We had gone up to the 2nd floor where the bedrooms were. And in one of the rooms, most of us were, all women were in there and we're all talking. And Cindy heard a growl, or she heard something that like completely freaked her out. And we're standing there and both her and I just got super emotional. And it was just frightening. So we're all like, we're just gonna go outside, regroup. And as we walked outside, we're all standing by one of the cars of talking. And Marvin comes with his phone, because he had his phone on record the whole time, and comes and says he's captured something. So we'll get to that clip in a bit, but it was pretty frightening what we caught. And
that's the
then
only thing we caught the
Yeah.
whole night.
yeah, and we were actually all planning to sleep in the house because we were going to be there overnight. After that, we all decided it's probably best we don't.
So we slept in the car for like 3 hours, talking about some stiff necks,
Yes.
and then we drove back to Illinois the next morning.
Yeah, but it was definitely a cool experience.
So this area we're going to look at right here is kind of at the top of the stairs. It's not really a bedroom, it's more of a loft, but it's where the parents' bed, and then you see the side table. All of the mirrors were covered when we got there.
Supposedly, the person that went through and did the killings back in, 1912, I think.
1912.
He covered all the mirrors throughout the house with a sheet or clothes, whatever he could find. So that's what they kind of replicated it at the day that we went there. So that's why you'll see that the mirrors are covered.
You'll ask Marvin, say, is anybody here? And you're going to hear, it's like a scratchy screech kind of a thing. It's not
It's
going
really
to be a
deep.
growl.
It's really deep. Hopefully you guys will be able to hear it well.
Anybody here?
I will bring my air mattress up here. No, I'm not staying. I know.
So you're gonna hear that. So we cannot make out what if any words at all are there, but it does sound, especially when you have headphones on, it sounds like somebody just really gravelly, deep voice, like screaming at you almost. Can you try it one more time?
Anybody here?
I will bring my air mattress up here. No, I'm not staying. I know. We're going to sit there.
And this is during the daytime too.
Yeah, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, we had just got there.
Yeah. Yeah, that was
So
the end.
that's all we captured the entire night that we were there. But what a good thing. I mean, we could have captured nothing at all, so I'm not complaining. But it was kind of creepy whenever he played it for us outside. Just so you guys know, there are many books on this. This is our book, I believe, Audra, yours.
Yeah.
And it talks all about like the murders that happened at the Villisca house. There's also another book called The Man on the Train. And what they feel happened is somebody was probably like jumping the train. They would get off at these random cities because there were many people that were killed the same way these people in Villisca were killed throughout like a 2-year period. I think it was like a 2-year period.
Yeah.
So they're very interesting read if you guys ever get a chance to check it out.
It is real interesting. The one red book just kind of focuses on the fact that it happened in Villisca and that it was someone in Villisca who did it. But the other book, The Man on the Train, is taking in all of these other ones in probably 3 or 4 states.
Yeah.
And they had nearly
All
the
next
exact
to a
same
train.
signature to it. So our homeowner in Ottawa called us in. This used to be called the tuberculosis, the tent colony. And it was another tuberculosis thing. They lived in the tents. I don't know how they kept warm. Blankets, lots of blankets. The home that we're investigating, the woman saw things flying off of a treadmill, like the foam rubber grip flew off of the treadmill. They've heard running up and down the stairs. At one point, they heard what sounded like running down the stairs, and they heard the front door slam. And so the homeowner's bedroom was right there next to the staircase. He got all upset. He thought his daughter had a guy with her and that he was escaping. And so he goes running up the stairs and she goes, look, I do a lot of stuff, but this time it wasn't me. And it was very clear. He knew it was someone coming down the stairs. He could hear exactly how many stairs it was. The front door opened and slammed. So the house that we went to, the doctors and nurses lived there from the tent colony. And so you're going to hear a very, very quick, we're just talking at the end of our investigations. And we're just saying, gosh, I hope we catch something. And you're going to hear a very, very, very clear Margaret.
Right. I wish that we had gotten a lot more today. maybe we'll go from the spirit box when we get that, but,
Is he still with the SLS?
I think so.
Yeah, they're upstairs.
So did you hear it? It's almost cartoonish, and it's saying the name Margaret, just out of the blue, for no reason.
So with us that night would have been the two homeowners, her daughter, I'm not sure, if this is her daughter, and then her son, son's girlfriend, and, you know. So when we got the name Margaret, we contacted the homeowner and said, okay, your daughter's name is Maggie. Is her real name Margaret? And she said, well, actually, yes, it is, but we're the only ones who even call her Maggie or Margaret. Everyone else calls her by her middle name. So it was someone who was trying to get us to know that they're there in the house and they're there all the time, because most people wouldn't know that fact.
Can you play it one more time? I wish that we'd gotten a lot more today. Maybe we will from the spirit box when we get that, but,
Is he still with the SLS?
I think so.
Yeah, they're upstairs now.
You're definitely gonna wanna go to the
And that's not just a normal voice, like somebody's not gonna say it
Right.
like that, right? I wish that we.
Yeah, I don't know why you would. Here's another audience participant. You okay? Yeah, okay. Does anyone know the difference between a graveyard and a cemetery?
Uh-oh.
A graveyard is generally attached to a church, and a cemetery is its own thing.
That's it.
That is
Exactly.
perfect. That is it. And whoever knew that, right? I mean, like, it's not something that is just given.
So
Great
this
answer.
gentleman called us in. He had just bought the house. It was a hoarding house, and so he had to redo absolutely everything. Everything to the right of like that window box is an addition. And he hears banging and slapping, especially on plaster. But it only happens in the original part of the house. So what you're gonna see here on the left is again our laser grid. This time it's a green one. But I want you to focus on the white little right here. Okay, so it looks like lights coming in from a window. There is no window. It's a completely boarded up room, paneled from floor to ceiling in one piece. So there isn't even room for light to filter through it. There was a window there when it was first built, but it's no longer there. And so, not sure what we captured. This picture on the right, it's a little long, but it's pretty cool because we actually have one of our sensors that's actually
Sensor looks
responding to us.
like this. And when you turn it on, any energy that gets near the antenna is going to activate it. The closer or the stronger the energy, the louder and the more lights that are gonna go off. So that's not very strong, and the stronger all the way up to max. So that's what you're gonna see in the center of that doorway. And it's going off continuously, and you know, we're trying to ask questions, we're trying to get it to work with us. And at the very end, you're gonna see that it was truly trying to communicate with us using the sensor. Bless you.
I'll start in a few seconds in.
We have a couple pieces of equipment
we can
use in a little bit that form words.
So it's better than just the yes or no.
Yeah.
But we can say there's no lawnmower outside, there are no trucks going by, it's not vibration. Okey dokey.
There you go. How does that feel? You can be noticed and nobody's angry with you. I can't really hear what we're saying. Can you guys hear it? Get you to come out and talk to us.
basement.
Maybe it's just.
Basement.
Standing. Were you in the basement? When you disappeared on us?
And so Nancy asked if it was in the basement, and that's when it started lighting up again.
Wow.
I did.
Okay,
It's just not stopping.
making sure. We've never had this.
It was just
piece
quiet
do
enough
this
that it
before.
could have possibly not been you. You have got something to say. Okay.
Okay.
You're being recognized. We're seeing you're here.
Can you stop for a second?
So she asked it to stop,
Can you light it back up
and
again?
it did. That's when we kind of realized it actually was responding to us.
Come back to us.
And so she asked it to come back.
And then it peaked out, it maxed out and then just stopped and didn't come back again. So that was like a little bit of a lengthy video, but it kind of shows you how we were able to start talking with them using the actual sensor.
And we debunked, we made sure that it wasn't because of vibrations from trucks going by or that there were loud noises that may have started it. There was absolutely nothing going by at the time. This is showing, we use cat balls as some of our trigger items, and they actually are toys that you get at the pet store. They're real simple.
Cats love it.
You touch it and it rolls.
Cats love it, go slowly.
Everybody. And so this shows
where you're from. Are you from the
what's going on.
tent
This was
colony?
at the home in Ottawa that
Can you
had
light the
the
ball again?
tuberculosis tent colony right by it.
Yes. Thank you so much.
And so we'll say, we'll ask yes or no questions, and if the answer is yes, to please light the ball up for us. This is another example. This was a home in Crest Hill. We can't go into much detail about it because there's an ongoing police investigation.
Activating that.
But it also shows.
I really
some going on.
appreciate that. That shows us that you're here with us. Can you do it one more time, please, so Audra can see it? Not that she won't believe us.
I do have it on video.
You caught it? Good.
We know you're with us. There you go.
Thank you.
There you go again.
See, she wanted to show you too, Audra.
So you don't need to go out and buy the $100.
This one's going off
$200.
again, Audra. Can you light the ball again? Oh, how crazy. That's the second time it did that. Oh, third time. Third time.
Okay, then.
Maybe someone's here.
Alrighty. And it's still going up. What the heck? Alrighty then. Nope. Okay, so we have a piece of equipment called an SLS camera. We're not sure about it, but it's kind of interesting. And you take an old Xbox or some sort of Wii gaming system, and somehow people with technologies turn it around and they get stick figures out of things. We were at the Randolph County Infirmary, another tuberculosis place, but they also had a core center and then a mental health area. And this particular room was a jail. It's the only room that had bars in it. And this right here is actually, this is a person. This is an actual real person who is standing here. This is not. And you'll see it move.
Sitting there on the toilet? You really don't give a damn.
And then it just goes away.
Once it stops, I'm gonna try it again.
Sitting in there on the toilet?
So we don't know. This is still too new of something, and
No, it's gone.
there really isn't a whole lot of research on it yet, so we're not 100% sure on this.
Sitting in there on
But it's kind of a neat thing to show. As a team, we also do cemetery crawls every year. We try and do 2 or 3. This year, we didn't work at all. But we try and go to cool places that have a haunted history to it. And we'll talk about what the different legends are and then showcase some of the really neat headstones. And so Oxable, Dresden are both in Minooka along with Seaward Bound. I always
Yes.
forget that one. I don't remember the name of it. And then there was one in Elgin. There's a mental health asylum and there's also an area in the back that's got a cemetery behind it.
I want to let you know, someone in the back there just told me that we are in the oldest part of the city in this area.
Oh, wow, well, that's interesting. That's very
I don't think old
interesting.
age come visit us though.
You never know. Everyone always talks about Bachelor's Grove Cemetery. We've been there. Never caught anything. And we just actually did this one last weekend. Showman's Rest is in Forest Park. There was a train accident that happened in Indiana, a circus train accident. And a lot of animals, including the elephants, passed away. There's a lot there for them. And then there are also all of these graves. That's unmarked man number 1, unknown number 2. They're given the name Slappy, or because they were grifters. No one knew their names. No one knew where they were from. So it's kind of sad that they can't be identified. And then we went to Hillside, to Mount Carmel, and we found Al Capone.
His final resting.
His final resting spot. When we go on investigations, you would not believe how many people have said that Al Capone has slept here. I mean, the man never slept in the same place twice. But we found his final spot. This is how you can get a hold of us. We also have it on brochures and our business cards. And we have our 7th anniversary next week, so we'll open it up.
We're gonna open it up for Q&A now. I also have my beautiful little girls up here if anybody wants their photo taken with them. They don't bite, they're not haunted, they're just dolls. Part of my collection.
They don't bite.
In the purple?
Yeah, I caught something on my phone on the audio, like there was, do you recommend that too? Like, I feel like I did.
Yes.
But it wasn't your little cool tiny.
Any audio will work on your phone. Yeah, yep.
And also my second part of that, so that's just as good almost as one of those?
Yes.
And then why on the shows, which I'm addicted to, are they always turning out the lights?
It's easier to capture evidence in the dark with the cameras, and then the lights are different sensors that are just lighted up. You can see it easier in the dark. They're always around.
And one of the things I want to point out about the shows is if the shows are not pointing away from the investigators, you don't know what they're reacting to. They could just be going, oh, look at that.
But we don't know what they're looking at, right? All
Because
we
you don't
see is
see
their
it.
expression.
So if you want to trust a show, go to the ones that show what they're seeing, not what the
their
reaction
reaction.
is.
A lot of that I think is for ratings for them.
I'm
You'll
sure
never
there's a
see
lot
our
of-
videos like that because
There's a lot of pressure on the shows to produce evidence. So if they can't find it on their own,
We gotta make it up.
Sorry, also, why did you use, instead of just using like your little recorders, what was that other thing with all the noises and
the Echovox.
Yeah, what's the
It's
purpose of
actually-
that as opposed to, a regular recorder?
Well, the Echovox isn't a recorder. The Echovox will produce a bunch of syllables that the spirits can use to create words. So you really can't record on there, but we record on a different device while that's playing. The Echovox is very similar to a spirit box, which looks like this. Only this uses a different type of, it uses radio waves instead of all the syllables.
Cool. Oh, cool.
they all create white noise, and supposedly white noise is how the spirits are able to connect to people. And so it just generates more white noise, makes them stronger.
The energy maybe.
Yeah, easier to get words out.
In the white shirt?
I have a few questions, if I'm allowed. I guess, okay, so I was in Taylor, Massachusetts, happened in the US, and I've been there, well, this was my second visit. And I assumed it would be like landing a bar. And it was, sorry, I'm like weird talking about it, but still struggling with it. It was like overwhelming amounts of photos and creepiness. And I guess my question is just, are there that many ghosts around? Is it because they're drawn to me because I feel like I'm a little weird? Or is it just because I was in a really, really supposedly haunted place? But they were like everywhere.
So it could very well be that you are, you're open to that. So you're like a beacon and they're coming to you. That could be one reason why you captured so much.
Yeah.
Plus you're in an awesome area, right? That is known for hauntings and old spirits to be lingering. I mean, you put both of those together, that could be why you captured as much as you did. I would love to see what you
I will
captured.
show you after. for sure.
Okay.
But then also my other question is like, do they know that we're there? Because sometimes it seems like they respond back to us and sometimes they're just saying a bunch of random nonsense. Like when they're looking at us in a photo and I know we're taking a photo, are they like, oh, look at them, let's come to the window and hello? Or is it just completely?
There are
just
two
in
different
their
kinds
routine?
of, there are two different kinds.
Okay.
One is an intelligent haunt and one's a residual. And the
Okay.
intelligents are the ones that are gonna react to you. So if you're taking the picture and they're sitting there and they're doing that, that's an intelligent haunt. A residual is like playing back a film loop over and over and over again. They're not actually there. It's just an imprint in time.
Okay, and then I guess my third question is, some of them look like people, they're misty, they're see-through, they're human-like. And one of the photos, the two of them that I captured, they are not human-like, they're quite scary. What is the difference, or why do they sometimes look normal and sometimes they don't, do we know?
There's really no telling what they're gonna look like because something that is scary can come to you looking like something innocent.
True.
Okay, so we really have to see your photos in order to answer that.
But there are things too that have never lived. They're called elementals. And it's mostly derived from the earth or the ground or air, water. Fire, thank you. And so it's kind of one of those things where they've never lived before. So they're not necessarily going to look like a person.
Thank you.
Did your hairs feel like they were rising when you were in there? Like you felt some stuff?
Honestly, in those moments, I didn't really react, which is surprising because I'm very sensitive. But two of the photos were taken in the windows of a restaurant that I was in an hour before. I had really severe anxiety. And ever since I've come home, I'm just kind of like, I think it's kind of like you found out, like I always believed in it, but then when you actually see it for yourself, you're kind of like, I'm
It's
kind of
a whole
like
nother level.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Any other questions? In the blue?
Have you ever gone to the Northside Sanitarium in like Pulaski and Peterson? It was a sanitarium in Chicago that was still active and it was right next to Northeastern University. And if Northeastern actually said if you parked there, you could hear ghosts and you could actually hear moaning. But it was the oldest sanitarium and there was still like 6 people. And when they died, they moved them underground. And then it was the first haunted forest that they actually did for Halloween. But they turned it into a senior center now, and I just.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, they bought all this, and it was a recycling center, and I know it's a huge area, and there's just all these underground tunnels, and people, as part of the Chicago Park District, they're afraid to go down there because of all the activity. And that's
I've
just-
never personally been there. I would love to go there.
Yeah.
This is the kind of.
Have you
furthest
been there?
north We've been. No.
Oh, yeah. It's on Pulaski and Peterson in Chicago.
Okay, right here in front.
Is the cemetery at Elgin, is that open to the public?
It is open to the public. I think, is that the one we had to go through the park to get there, right? So it's a really long drive around, but once you get there, you go down a little hill and then it opens out. The whole thing is covered by trees though, so it's the only entrance is right outside of the parks. It's pretty interesting. Yeah. Are you familiar with that location? Are you familiar with that area?
Yes, I was as a child, and used to drive by there. I don't know if it's still functioning as a cemetery.
Is it, Audra?
What's it? The mental facility? Yeah.
And the one in Chicago, Dunning, that was quite a awful.
Any other questions, comments, sir?
Did we do anything down on the south side by Resurrection Cemetery?
That's where I used to live.
Resurrection Mary's?
Yeah.
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 I haven't personally, but I know a couple of the other members have, went over there looking to see if they could capture anything. There's like a whole history to that. I think that we've all heard those stories, right?
I guess the question is, why hasn't she been seen since the late 80s?
Yeah. Would love to capture her.
The problem is that, as you said earlier, Audra, when we were talking about it, the problem with it is now the whole area is built up. So how can
Yeah.
she, it's not dark enough for her to glow.
Right.
Like they said she
Right.
did.
The last time she was seen, it was on a Archer Avenue was a
Right.
one road, one lane.
Yeah.
And there were no street lights or anything, and now it's just all strip malls and it's built up.
I have a question online asking, what advice do you give to people living in homes where you have found some evidence?
To contact us and let's have an interview. A lot of times we can help people just, if they find something at their homes, or to give them the yes or no, yes it is, no it's not paranormal. Using our equipment. I mean, what advice can they get? An audio clipping? If it's audio that they're capturing, maybe put the app on your phone or buy one of the audio recorders, set it up and see if you can capture it. Take a bunch of photos if you feel like you're being looked at. I really don't know what their issue is at their house. If we knew more, we could probably guide them better.
Most of the time, we find that if we do find evidence and we take it back to the homeowner, the activity completely stops. It's almost as if they just want to be known. They maybe had something they wanted to say. And then it's fine. For advice, we do go in with the blessings. We can do that. And that usually calms things down quite a bit too.
You have a question, honey?
Yeah, in one of the pictures, there are these, like, frozen, these things, what are these?
Those are dowsing rods. Audra, do you want to explain how they work?
They are usually made out of copper or brass. I've got some high-tech ones that are lighted up. You can light up. What you're just gonna do is a yes or no question.
You have a sheath around the handle so it spins, and that's all anyone using these should touch is just that part of it. So these will swing freely.
And you're gonna sit there and be very specific. If you have a yes answer, I want you to cross them. I'm gonna ask you to go to center. If the answer is no, please go out this way. And that way we can get yes or no answers from them. And we just let them go and do their thing for a little bit. Once they get used to the room, then we can go ahead and start asking yes or no questions.
So this is another way that we can communicate with spirits. It also, Audra uses them. They don't work for me, and I don't understand that because I would really love to use them, but they just stay like this. When she uses them, they're like, hey, right? So it's just not my thing. But we also use them to find like where portals might be in homes or businesses. Audra will hold them and say, direct me where I'm supposed to go. She has spirit guides that comes with her, and they'll go to the left or to the right, and we follow them throughout the house. So it's really a neat piece of equipment.
We really haven't yet. This is kind of as far north as we come, I would think, but I would not be against because those have got such a huge history to them.
I think a lot of us too live right around here.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, they have a lot of haunted history.
Yeah.
I come on a spirit box and I haven't used it much yet, but it can record. Do you ever record through the spirit box, or do you still recommend having this separate?
We have not recorded through the spirit box. We use our audio for it. I just like the Echo Box that you're able to record through there as well, but we have not used that because we want to capture anything outside of it as well, not just what the unit is producing.
Right.
And I worry that maybe the static that's coming from the spirit box might be too loud that you might not even catch words if they're being said.
Yeah.
I just have a couple of comments. My daughter and I have visited many locations with groups doing paranormal investigating, but this past month we were at a paranormal conference, and it was really cool to actually talk with a lot of the investigators that are all over the Discovery Plus channel. And And now because they have since been removed quite a bit.
Right.
I watch them all on YouTube.
Right.
They're all there, but if you can ever get to one, they're fantastic because it's up and close with other paranormal investigators and you get to chat with them one-on-one as well. So it's kind of fun to see and meet in person.
Sorry. This is.
That's okay.
Have you ever been touched and or are you ever worried about taking, oh no. Are you ever worried about taking it home with you?
Both of our men have been touched.
That's why I figured you want some.
I don't think you have a space.
No, we got tapped in the butt.
It's like somebody walking by.
Both of you?
At the same
At
time.
the same time.
At the same time, same place.
Just kind of went down the road.
So in order to answer your question about worried about being followed home, yes, it is always a possibility. And therefore anyone doing what we do, you have to make sure that you are protected. You always want to make sure you're closing everything that you've opened during an investigation. You want to make sure you stress the fact that nothing can come home with you. Sometimes Audra will take things home with her purposely because she helps people pass over. It's just a special ability that she has. I wear a lot of protected stuff myself. We use black salts when we leave behind our car tires to make sure that's like another barrier so they cannot come with us. There's many ways of protecting yourself, and anyone playing around with paranormal should learn those before you open portals that you cannot close and hurt yourself or loved ones. Amulets, there's prayers, chants, there's all different kinds of ways of protecting.
What's interesting about our team is we are all from different religions, and so we have our own way. Nancy does a lot of the meditation and she sages herself and that kind of a thing, where I'm Catholic, so I'm doing more St. Michael prayers, and I've got my spirit guides to make sure they're with me, protecting me as we go along. We say a few other prayers along the way. We don't pray as a group, and we probably could because most of us are Christian, but we've got a couple of others that are agnostic or Jewish and that kind of thing, and they have their own way of doing stuff.
Do we have time for like 2 more questions and then we're gonna have to shut down? So what do we got? Hold on, you guys, let's get in the back first.
Do ghosts kill?
Do what?
Can ghosts kill people?
Never experienced it.
I have not personally experienced it, but I would say they probably can.
It might not be a ghost, it might be a little bit more of an evil presence.
What do ghosts like?
What do they like? I don't know. They probably like a lot of different things.
They're just like people.
What do you mean by portals that you can't close?
Good question.
That is a good question. Portals are like when we go and we're using a spirit box or we are using the dowsing rods, we are actually opening up a way for spirits to come through and talk to us.
Kind of like a window.
Kind of like a window. And when we get done, we close it. We're like, nobody else can come through this window or this opening that we've created. A lot of times when we get called to people's homes, they have portals that are open at their homes. And that's where these things, spirits or whatever might be coming through, come through at their homes.
Lion, the witch, and the wardrobe. Was
Right.
portal.
Right.
Closed it.
Exactly.
Okay, one more.
Can't you just use mediums to help you? And
You know, it's hard to find a real medium because a lot of people will say, oh, I'm a medium, and we'll bring them in, and we would love to have a real medium on our team, but we have not, we've not been able to find someone who's genuine. So it's, can you believe them? That's the thing. You have to go through all these tests to find somebody who truly has that ability. Okay, so we want to thank everybody for coming out today. Appreciate you.